Have you ever noticed how often we ask for permission to grow? Permission to set boundaries. Permission to change. Permission to become someone different than we used to be. And sometimes, we don't even realize we're doing it. We hesitate. We over-explain. We soften our decisions just to make sure everyone else feels comfortable. But here's the truth. Many people never say out loud. You don't need permission to change. Not from the people around you. Not from the ones who preferred the old version of you. And in this video, I want to talk about why so many of us wait for approval before we grow, and how to step into the next version of yourself without feeling guilty for it. Because becoming who you're meant to be should never require someone else's permission. Here at Dream Life Diaries, we don't just talk about becoming. We talk about what it costs. Because growth sounds inspiring until it disrupts expectations. When you start protecting your peace, some people call it distance. When you start setting boundaries, some people call it selfish. And when you start evolving, some people quietly wish you would go back to who you used to be. But evolution is not betrayal, it's alignment. Most of us were conditioned to seek approval, to ask first, to check first, to make sure everyone else feels okay before we make a decision about our own lives. We were praised for being agreeable, rewarded for being accommodating, and loved for being available. So when you begin to grow, your nervous system hesitates. What if they don't understand? What if they think I've changed too much? What if I disappoint them? And suddenly, something that should feel empowering starts to feel uncomfortable. Not because you're unsure of who you're becoming, but because you're afraid of being misunderstood. This part requires honesty. The old version of you said yes more often than she should have. She over-explained. She overextended. She carried things that were never meant to be hers. And whether people realized it or not, some of them benefited from that version of you. They liked your availability. They liked your willingness to say yes. They liked the version of you that made their lives easier. So, when you begin to say, that doesn't work for me anymore, it can feel disruptive. But that disruption isn't wrong. It's growth. Here's something powerful. You don't have to announce your growth. You don't need a press conference for every boundary you set. You don't need to explain every decision that brings you peace. Growth doesn't always happen loudly. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's simply choosing differently. Choosing rest when you would have overworked. Choosing silence when you would have over-explained. Choosing peace when you would have carried pressure. That's what real change looks like. Let me say this gently. God did not design you to stay small just to keep everyone comfortable. He didn't call you to exhaust yourself trying to meet expectations you never agreed to. Sometimes, when God begins rebuilding your life, He changes your perspective. He strengthens your discernment. He teaches you how to recognize what drains you and what aligns you. And alignment often requires courage. The courage to say, that season is over. That pattern doesn't serve me anymore. That version of me has grown. And growth guided by faith does not require approval. When you stop asking for permission, you move differently. You speak with more intention. You commit with more clarity. You stop trying to convince everyone that your growth makes sense. Because your life is not a debate. It's a direction. And when your direction becomes clear, something beautiful happens. You become steady, not loud, not defensive, steady. Sometimes growth changes relationships. Not because you're wrong, but because your new boundaries don't fit the old dynamics. And here's the compassionate truth. If someone can only love the version of you that had no limits, they were attached to your access, not your evolution. And realizing that can hurt. But it also frees you because the right people don't fear your growth. They respect it. You don't need permission to change. You need courage to remain aligned. Because alignment means choosing peace even when it disappoints someone. It means protecting your energy even when others misunderstand. It means trusting the direction of your life even when the path looks different from before. Approval fades. Alignment lasts. If this message speaks to the season you're in right now, like this video so it reaches another woman who is still waiting for permission to grow. Subscribe to Dream Life Diaries for encouragement that strengthens your identity and supports your becoming. And comment below, I don't need permission. Not angrily, not defensively, but confidently. You're not changing to rebel. You're changing to realign. And the moment you stop asking for permission is the moment you begin leading your life. This is how gentle rebuilding becomes unshakable identity.